Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you're not all dying to hear some of my leadership hints, but one of them that I've always said to myself is flexibility is one of the keys to success. And I've just been given two things that I need to do that weren't on the program, so I'm going to do them now. One of them is earlier I introduced Lieutenant General Carol Mutter from the Marine Corps. General Mutter was recently, I believe in September, inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame at Seneca Falls. And I've also been handed this. Some of you on the ends can't see, but some of you sitting around here might recognize this. The foundation used to publish something called The Register, a newspaper, and we have one that's contemporary for everyone. They'll be on somewhere out there as you go. If you go out that door, which we really want you to, they'll be on the counter. And if you, have I announced the thing about the star? No. When you leave, if you have a star on your name place card, that means you're either a charter member or a registered member. There is a gift bag, goodie bag waiting for you, and in that bag there will be a paper, the register. Anything else? Oh, it's not in the bag. I'm wrong again. You just have to pick it up. It won't be too hard and it's not very heavy. But this paper started as maybe a tiny little article about someone or something. And a woman who was a public affairs officer in the United States Army, a retired Colonel Beth Johnson, did this paper. And yes, Beth Johnson is part of the Carlisle crowd. So thanks again. At this time, I'm going to ask the chair of the Women in Military Service for America Foundation Board President, Brigadier General Eden Murray, to come up, which she already has. She's got some good things to do, and for some reason, she's going to get to do them and not me. So, Eden. You don't need the stand.
I don't need the thing. Okay. Yeah, cool. Thank you. I'm not going to stand on that little podium thingy that Dee needs because she's really vertically challenged. Good evening, everyone. What a great evening this is, and I want to give kudos to one of our board members who really did this, and you're probably going to do it later, but I'm going to give her kudos now anyway, and that's Major General Retired Jan Edmonds, who made this happen. Actually, we're all a little scared of Jan. We asked her if she needed any help, and she's like, just stay out of my way. I'm like, okay. I do get to have a lot of fun tonight, and that's because I get to get some money from a lot of great folks, and I like getting money. It's too bad my name's not on it, but it's still good. As Dee mentioned earlier, last year, when we were doing a lot, Dee put out a note, and she just said, hey, the memorial's in a little bit of trouble. We're struggling a little bit, and we need some help. And there were a variety of organizations that stepped up to help us, and a variety of individuals that stepped up to help us. And a lot of you were in that room, so I would like to give all of you a round of applause for your help. One of the organizations is represented here tonight, and it's the Academy Women's Organization. And they started an online fundraising campaign for us that raised a lot of money and a lot of awareness. Money is important, but awareness is one thing that we need to, and they did a great job of that. And they are here to, I love this in my notes, they're here to give us a big check. I think that refers to the size of the cardboard. I hope it refers to the amount also. So I would like Lieutenant Colonel Tammy Tryon to come up here and show us this check thingy. Over here. All right. Want to say anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So thank you very much for inviting us to be here tonight. What a wonderful group that we have here. A few years after WMSA opened its doors, a small group of female graduates from the military service academies formed Academy Women, which is an organization focused on female military leaders. Now in our 15th year, Academy Women is a community focused on providing professional development, mentors, role models, and networking opportunities to women military leaders. From the beginning, WMSA was there for us and has supported us. A wonderful partnership has developed between the Women's Memorial and Academy Women based on the shared community that we support. The Memorial has become our physical home for our events, most notably our annual Officer Women Leadership Symposium, and Academy Women has partnered with the Women in Military Service for America Memorial to offer an online home for all of our military women through its Military Women eMentor program. When we learned last fall that the Women's Memorial was at risk of closing its doors due to lack of funding, we decided to take action. We could not let this happen. So in November of 2016, Academy Women got to work and launched a fundraising campaign to save our memorial. We reached out to all current and veteran military women and all supporters of military women. We learned that if every female veteran donated $20, that was it, just $20, we could keep the memorial open for another 20 years. And a donation of $2,000 would keep the memorial open one more day. As donations started pouring in, many donors posted comments on what the memorial means to them and why they were donating. Patricia Donahue told us, "My mother served as a nurse during World War II. Now gone, like most women who served with her, it's nice to remember the important contributions she and her peers made." Lieutenant Troy Gostin said that he was proud to support the memorial for his sisters in arms. And Jane Malazewski summed it all up when she said, "The Women's Memorial honors all women who have served the nation in our armed forces. I had my retirement ceremony here, and this is the first place I worked when I retired from the Army, doing oral histories of our women veterans. I met some amazing World War II vets, including Major Stephanie Rader, who inspires me to this day. This beautiful memorial needs to stay open." We are so proud of how our community rallied their support through over 1,300 donors. And tonight, Academy Women is very proud to award the Save the Memorial campaign proceeds to the Women's Memorial, which is totaling $93,804.
Wow, that is awesome. Again, I wish my name was on that check. That's not the only donations we have this evening, and I would like to read just a little bit about another organization that has gone above and beyond for the Women's Memorial. For 33 years, with the support of the governor, the Oklahoma Women Veterans Organization, a not-for-profit war veterans organization, has been hosting an annual Women's Veteran Recognition Day, where some 400 servicewomen, past and present, from across the state of Oklahoma come together for a day of recognition and celebration of their service. During the event, a fundraising effort is always made on behalf of the Women's Memorial. And the Oklahoma women's veterans have been especially generous. According to reports, it's a humbling experience to get to witness the commitment of Oklahoma's women to this memorial. We got a text last evening from the organization's leadership asking if they could present this year's donation at a dinner tonight. I'm all about the money, so I said sure. So please help me in welcoming retired Marine Corps Sergeant Major Pam Bluestein and Linda Waldrop, one of the original organizers, to the stage.
We just wanted to share how we do it. Each year at our event, we put small envelopes at the place of every woman during our major luncheon. These envelopes have the names of all of the women who have died while in service since Desert Storm, Desert Shield to the present. We ask our ladies to donate something in honor of the woman whose envelope is placed in front of them. Small or large, it all adds up. So every year, General Vaught and Marilla would come to our Women Veterans Day program. But this year, we just had it last weekend. This year, they couldn't come because of these big events, so we thought, by golly, we're going to bring the money to them. So I want to encourage each state to take one day a year and have a major function, or maybe 2 or 3, put donation envelopes out, and these women will give. So on behalf of the women veterans of Oklahoma, Linda and I are proud to present $10,000.
Over here?
I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's all right.
And you're going to come back home.
Thank you so much, ladies. Here, you want to give me that? You can take a picture later.
Yeah, we want your money.
Yeah.
I'm your bag man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Awesome. Thank you so much to both of those organizations. And the giving is not done yet. We also would like to invite to the podium to give us some money, which we love, retired Colonel Stephanie Dawson from the National Association of Black Military Women. And I think she has a little thing to give us, too.
Stephanie, where are you?
Fine. She has to pay double.
Stephanie Dawson. Okay. Maybe tomorrow. But she has the money. She showed it to me. Are you coming? No? All right.
I'm good.
Suppose you gave a thing and nobody came.
I know.
Okay. I told you, flexibility is the key to success. Thank you, Eden. I thought about doing a rendition of Oklahoma and say Oklahoma is okay, but yeah, I know. No way. I'm excited about the words I get to say now. It's been a major challenge for us in getting new and improved exhibits, putting on programs, things that our members would want to see and take part in. because of our funding problems. But over the years, we've had some great artists who have wanted to display here because it's such a beautiful venue. And take a moment if you hadn't ever seen the place at night. It is beautiful, and they've really got it well lighted and everything. Come back tomorrow when the sun's shining, and the glass tablets above, you can see them, the shadow on the walls. So if you've never seen that, make sure you come in tomorrow while the sun's shining. I believe it's in the morning when you can see it best. Not too early. But you may remember the Faces of the Fallen, When Janie Comes Marching Home, the Pentagon Quilts, and many more of those things. Well, once again, we have an extraordinarily talented artist who reached out to us and wanted to exhibit his works. And his exhibit title is Changing the Face of Courage. We're honored to have Dave Rappaport's distinct body of work in our gallery for the next several months. He's here to tell us a little bit about the changing face of courage. And all of those are his down there. They're contemporary works of our servicewomen. Dave.
Thank you, General McWilliams. Before I present my prepared remarks this evening, I would like to thank all of you veterans, active and reserve service members for your service for our country. Thank you, everyone. My name is Dave Rappaport, and I'm the son of a member of the greatest generation who served in the Navy during World War II. He actually served down here at Pax River. I am also the artist who was given the distinct privilege and honor of creating the fine art that now hangs in the main gallery of this unique memorial for this, your 20th anniversary celebration. This exhibition of 29 watercolor paintings was created over a period of 30 months. These works are derivative paintings because each one includes major elements found in photographs of women and a young girl that, with two exceptions, were in the public domain. Every painting but one is monochromatic, or done in a single color, Payne's gray. Each appears to be black and white, and as such allows one to concentrate on the image in front of them without the unconscious distraction of color to the eye. When this exhibit was in the early planning stages in 2015, a total of 5 paintings were envisioned, each representing one of the 5 branches of the military. At that time, the consensus was that weapons be prominently displayed where possible in these portraits to highlight some of the roles now held by women in the U.S. military. However, as I began to search the web for photographs of women in the military, I discovered women in many different roles across the 5 services. And so I concluded that limiting the exhibit to 5 faces would not adequately represent the image of the contemporary woman in uniform, nor would presenting images of women only carrying or using weapons. So I unilaterally expanded the number, first from 5 to 20 to correlate to WIMS's 20th anniversary, and then ultimately to the 29 currently on display, the number of portraits that I was able to complete literally by last week. Thank you. Over these past 30 months, I scanned hundreds of photographs of women, and where available, read dozens of biographical notes associated with many of these servicewomen. What was I looking for in these photographs? What inspired me to choose one over another? I suppose in retrospect it was the image itself combined with other criteria, such as rank, service, MOS, ethnicity, and where possible, historical significance. Throughout this process, I found myself learning about women I believed came from every walk of life, but were, by virtue of their respective photograph, at different stages of their military careers. What I wanted the visitor to this exhibit to see when viewing these 29 paintings was the wide range of emotions that these women felt while in service to their country. To, in a sense, project over a range of work the changing face of courage associated with the hundreds of thousands of women currently in the military. As you walk through the main gallery, you will see the following. the rugged determination in the faces of individual recruits working hard to complete their respective branches' basic training program, and the stern yet resolute stare of the DI, who will help to successfully mold young women under her wing into strong, resourceful soldiers. The joy and satisfaction reflected in the face of the first woman to graduate from the United States Naval Academy. The intense concentration on the faces of members of the Army National Guard as they both train stateside or carry their weight literally in active war zones. The dedication and professionalism ingrained in the faces of Air Force pilots who now operate frontline fighter aircraft, and of a medic who accompanies and treats her fellow service members while airborne. The caring, compassionate faces of those Marines who have provided support and comfort, especially to children affected by war or natural disasters. The attention to detail and discipline reflected in the face of a Navy technician performing maintenance on a helicopter aboard a ship. The overwhelming satisfaction of reaching personal and professional milestones mirrored in the faces of African American Air Force and United States Coast Guard pilots who are trailblazers in their own rights. The spirit of teamwork reflected in the face of the Navy grape while pulling the fuel line across the carrier deck. The trust and love shown in the face of the Air Force K-9 handler for her four-legged partner as they both bond with one another. The face of dogged determination and perseverance on the face of one of the first women to graduate Army Rangers School while carrying one of her classmates. The profile of quiet contemplation on the face of an Army National Guard Silver Star awardee. The innocence and wonderment on the face of a young girl who may one day decide to carry on the legacy of women like yourselves here today. And finally, the faces of courage framed by the smile of a wounded Army veteran and the resolute stare of an Air Force pilot who made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan. The faces of women in the military have undoubtedly changed in the 20 years since this memorial was dedicated in October 1997. In these 29 paintings, I have tried, as General Edmonds has noted, to capture the essence of the contemporary military woman. I believe that my reliance on candid images of real women who have served or who are currently serving the military is in true consonance with the mission of the memorial and will allow all of you to both recognize and appreciate the ever-increasing contributions of our women veterans and of all those women who are still on active duty or in the reserves. In closing, I want to thank the leadership at WMSA for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this special celebration. By accepting your offer to ultimately create this series of paintings, I was able to learn a great deal about our military and especially of the women who wear the uniform. But more importantly, I was also able to give back something of value to generations of women who sought to protect those who cannot protect themselves, who wear the uniform with pride and distinction. I thank you again.
Your words were as great as your paintings. I want to thank his wife. He was a sculptor before he started painting. And she said, no more wood shavings on the floor. So he started painting. We are so glad that you started painting. So thank you. Sometime during the last year, I reached out to our two retired four-star generals who are here tonight, General Wolfenbarger and General Dunwoody, to see if they would be honorary co-chairs of the foundation board and of this event tonight. And they both readily agreed, and no arm twisting. It was anything we can do to help. And I really appreciate what both of you have done and are doing. Both of you are here this weekend and have volunteered to be part of the program. So thank you. General Wolfenbarger is going to perform, I think, a pleasant duty tonight. She retired after about 35 years in the Air Force. She's a 1980 grad of the Air Force Academy, and she's going to be introducing an Academy grad. And our board chairman is an Academy grad. Now, don't think it's weighted too heavily for the Air Force. I'm certain they like us all. And there's pictures. I mean, Dave took care of everyone. But it's kind of Air Force night tonight. Since General Wolfenbarger retired, she's done quite a bit of going around the country and talking to people, and a lot of that has been in her role as the chair of the Defense Advisory Committee on Women in the Service, or DACOWITS as we know it. We are so proud to have you as our chair. So come on up, General Wolfenbarger, if you will, please, ma'am, and do your duty.
Good evening, everyone. It is absolutely my pleasure to introduce our dinner keynote speaker. We are honored to have with us tonight the 24th Secretary of the Air Force, the Honorable Dr. Heather Wilson. As Secretary of the Air Force, Dr. Wilson is responsible for organized training and equipping and providing for the welfare of 660,000 active duty, Guard, Reserve, and civilian forces, as well as their families. She oversees an annual budget of more than $130 billion. And I have to say, she is eminently qualified to serve in this capacity and to execute those far-reaching responsibilities. Dr. Wilson brings to her role more than 35 years of professional experience in a range of leadership and management positions in the military, higher education, government, and private industry. As Dee just noted, she graduated from the United States Air Force Academy in 1982. Oh, a classmate down there. Upon her graduation and commissioning as a second lieutenant in the Air Force, she was selected as a Rhodes Scholar and attended Oxford University in England, where she earned both her master's and her doctorate degrees in international relations. Dr. Wilson served in the Air Force from 1982 to 1989. From 1989 to 1991, Dr. Wilson served on the National Security Council staff as Director for Defense Policy and Arms Control. You have to think back to that time frame, during the fall of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Warsaw Pact. From 1991 to 1995, and then again from 2009 to 2013, Dr. Wilson was in the private sector, where she founded companies, served as a senior advisor to several national laboratories, and served on the boards of publicly traded corporations, as well as numerous advisory and nonprofit boards. From 1995 to 1998, Dr. Wilson served as a cabinet secretary in New Mexico's state government. And from 1998 to 2009, she was elected to and served as a member of the United States House of Representatives, where she served on several committees: the House Armed Services Committee, the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, and the House Energy and Commerce Committee. Prior to her current role, from 2013 to 2017, Dr. Wilson served as the president of the South Dakota School of Mines and Technology, a prestigious engineering and science research university. So can I just say, wow? Wow. I don't personally believe we could have found a more qualified and capable individual, woman or man, to serve as our newest Air Force Service Secretary. So please join me in welcoming the Honorable Dr. Heather Wilson to the podium.
thought Janet was going to make me drop and do some push-ups. Well, it's a real pleasure to be here with you this evening, and happy 20th anniversary to all of you. Of course, the traditional 20th anniversary gift is China. I don't think that would work. General Vaught, you should be proud of what you started here, and we are all deeply grateful for your service. I actually met General Vaught when I served on the Defense Advisory Committee on Women in the Services in the early 1990s, and I have to say that I was terrified of General Vaught. It is really hard to believe that it took until 1985 for this memorial to be approved, because by that time, 2 million American women have served in uniform for our country. 2 million women have served. And you know one of the neat things about that? Every single one of them was a volunteer. Every one of them. We even had women who disguised themselves just to be able to fight and to serve this country. In the Civil War, Dr. Mary Walker was a battlefield surgeon who set the standards for operating procedures and also for fashion by wearing men's clothing for better mobility. And she got arrested several times for impersonating a man. She is also the only woman to have been awarded the Medal of Honor. Women were finally allowed to join the military in the last years of World War I, and more than 10,000 served as nurses, without rank or commission, but they were in the military. On the Western Front, they faced sniper fire and bombs. Army nurse Beatrice McDonald had a piece of shrapnel sliced through her eye, and she stayed on duty with only one eye to the end of the First World War. Our nation lost 400 women serving in World War I, serving as nurses. We mobilized over 400,000 women in World War II for non-combat roles. 88 women became prisoners of war in the Second World War, and we lost 38 WASP pilots. The Cadet Nurse Corps trained over 100,000 nurses, 2 of whom are with us here tonight, Peggy Bixler and Dolores Sullivan. Joan Willauer is here. She enlisted in the Marines as a 20-year-old, which was considered underage at the time. Her mother had to sign the papers. Captain Doris Fenner served in China with General Marshall's mediation staff. And the Women's Army Air Corps Captain Roxy Remley is here from Statesboro, Georgia. She is 98 and still going strong. Now, Roxy came in as a motor pool person, but that was only a cover because she was trained to operate something top secret at the time, radar equipment. In fact, she was in a special squadron. It was called Battalion X. So no one would know. Anything called X is supposed to be secret, folks. Call it M or something. Battalion X, it was stationed at the time at what Roxy called Bowling Field in 1943. It was a special experiment by the United States military under General Marshall to see whether women could master the complexities of air defense using this new technology called radar. In 1948, the Women's Armed Services Integration Act allowed women to serve as permanent, regular members of the armed forces. But in 1957, the Air Force had one colonel's position for women, just one, the Director of Women in the Air Force. It was actually against the law for women to be promoted beyond the rank of colonel until 1967. That was it. And the opportunities and the career paths open to women in the military were quite limited. But in 1967, Congress lifted the 2% cap on women in the military and allowed women to advance to general and admiral ranks, which began in 1970 with Army Brigadier General Anna Mae Hayes. And in 1973, the draft ended, and the all-volunteer military was formed. And the nation realized that in order to provide for the common defense, we would have to attract exceptional talent and open the ranks even further to those who were qualified. The first woman two-star general was pinned in 1973, General Jeanne Holm. I had the pleasure of meeting Jeannie Holm, and right into her 70s and 80s, she was still a pistol. She was the director of the Women in the Air Force. You know, in the 1970s, I was recently reminded and had the opportunity earlier this week to talk to some United States senators about potential changes to the basic allowance for housing that would affect married couples who had dependents. Amazingly, they only want to change it for those who have dependents, not for everybody else. And I reminded the United States Senate that in the 1970s, women had to prove that their spouses were actually dependent upon them in order to get benefits. That changed. And the woman who argued it before the Supreme Court was named Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth also argued the case, and actually it was her opinion, rather, that forced Virginia Military Institute to integrate in 1997. In the 70s, women sued for admission to ROTC and to the service academies, and the Congress eventually changed the law. I actually remember where I was as a junior in high school, watching the black and white television on my mother's mantle in her bedroom when Walter Cronkite did a story saying that women were entering the United States Air Force Academy. My grandfather had flown in the First World War. He came to America in 1922. And he was a barnstormer, and he opened airports all over New England. And then in the Second World War, he flew for his new country. He flew for the United States of America as an auxiliary Air Force pilot. My father started flying when he was 13, and he enlisted in the Air Force after high school. And he was a crew chief and a mechanic on the F-84 Thunderjet. And after he left the Air Force, he came back home and married his high school sweetheart, my mother. And in the 1950s, when a lot of women didn't even drive cars, he taught my mother to fly. They rebuilt aircraft together. My father was a member of the Experimental Aircraft Association, and I grew up in a two-bedroom house. It was about a 1,600 square foot house, and it had a kitchen and a living room and a den and 2 bedrooms. And the den was actually supposed to be my bedroom. But I was in with my 2 brothers because my dad was building an experimental open cockpit biplane inside the 1,600 square foot house. My mother was a very tolerant woman. But when they announced that they had opened the Air Force Academy to women, my father had died when I was young, but my grandfather was still alive. And my mother said, well, you may want to talk to your grandpa about that. I remember where he was sitting in his living room when I went to talk to him. Here's a man who had started flying shortly after the Wright brothers and lived to see a man walk on the moon. He'd flown in 2 world wars. He was the first fixed-based operator to open and run an airport that is now called Manchester-Boston Regional Airport. He had been a big part of civil aviation and started the Civil Air Patrol in the state of New Hampshire. And he had 2 sons and 5 grandsons and me. So I told him I was thinking about this Air Force Academy thing, and he got real quiet. And then in his soft Scottish brogue, he said, well, I flew with some women in World War II, the Wasps, and they were pretty good sticks. So I guess that'd be okay. So with his blessing and a full ride scholarship, I became the first person in my family to go to college. Thank you to those of you who went before and who opened the doors for the rest of us. You know, it took until the 1990s for the Congress to authorize women to fly in combat or to serve on combat ships. And in fact, it was after the Persian Gulf War that things really started to change. In 1991, the Persian Gulf War was the first war that was really carried live to American homes because CNN had just become a thing. And I remember being on the National Security Council staff and watching the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the time talking about the actions and the preparations in the Persian Gulf. And Colin Powell, bless his heart, said something I will never forget. He kept talking about our men and women in the military, our men and women in the Persian Gulf. Until that time, I never heard a senior leader in the United States military say anything other than our men in harm's way. And America suddenly was realizing that the all-volunteer force had gone co-ed. It was a wonderful change, and it opened further reflection on the part of the Congress as to why the 1948 law that prohibited women from flying in combat and prohibited women from serving on combatant ships made sense anymore. A woman named Patsy Schroeder out of Colorado decided that it didn't and offered an amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act that year to strike that provision of the law. A group of women military officers, most of them pilots, started to take leave and come to Washington to camp out in the offices of Senator Roth and Senator Kennedy and to explain to senators why they needed to put a similar provision in the Senate version of the bill. I remember that because as military officers, they couldn't actually lobby. But by that time, I was a civilian. And they could answer all kinds of questions because they could provide technical advice and answer particular questions. In a 2-week period, that group of women and a handful of us who were former officers in the military went to visit every member of the United States Senate. And over the objections of the chairman and the ranking member of the Defense Authorization Committee at the time, Senator Roth and Senator Kennedy's amendment passed. and the path to women in combat opened. In 1998, 1 year after this memorial opened here, women fighter pilots flew the first combat missions off an aircraft carrier. Women have fought hard and sacrificed much to get here. And in our Department of Defense, across our total forces, there is a common truth. Courage recognizes no gender. Amelia Earhart said, "The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity." More than 275,000 women have served in Iraq and Afghanistan. They have demonstrated tremendous resilience, adaptability, and capacity for innovation. They have led and served and sacrificed, and we are all deeply grateful for it. A lot of doors have opened in the last 35 years since we made it through the zoo. But there are also doors that we need to make sure stay open and encourage girls to walk through those doors. We have to prepare the next generation for leadership in traditional and unconventional roles as space experts and programmers, data integrators, engineers. We have to stay on the cutting edge of science and technology to maintain our military supremacy and our national security into the 21st century. And we cannot deny ourselves half the talent, half the resources, half the potential of our nation. We must look down the road and keep doors open for the next generation. So, we've got a responsibility to our daughters and our granddaughters to continue paving the way, to continue challenging them, to have expectations of them, to be leaders in a very complex world. In the early 2000s, I came over to this memorial on a beautiful spring evening for a swearing-in ceremony, a celebration. Annie Sobel, a general officer who was a friend of mine and my family's, was pinning on a second star. That was a really big deal. And I brought my daughter along, who was about 6 years old or so at the time. And it was a wonderful ceremony and reception, and my daughter kind of took it all in and was messing around in the fountains and running her fingers over the stones. And at one point I said, "Katie, this is a really big deal. Do you know that I don't think when I was on active duty, ever even met a woman general?" She didn't think it was all that impressive. That is impressive. For our daughter's generation, it's not a big deal. It's okay to dream to be a general, because you've already done it, and you're role models for them all. Through your actions and your actions, they can say, "I can do that." The way women looked at General Wilma Vaught, General Carol Mutter, Admiral Eileen Dirk, and said, "I can do that." Military women can follow their dreams to the stars. Thanks to all of you for your courage and your tenacity. God bless you all, and God bless the country that we love.
Madam Secretary, before you go, I just want you to know that you have become a part of history. We're live streaming this, the first for WIMSA. It's on the Facebook page. Someone younger than I am knows how to do that. I have known Jan Edmonds more than 25 years. She's my best friend, sometimes. I have done 2 favors for her. Once she called me while she was snorkeling or on some kind of scuba vacation and said, I just got a beep on my phone that said something that needs to be refrigerated is on my front porch. It was 102 in Washington that day. Please go to the house and put it in the fridge. I did. That was a favor. The other one was when I went to Fort Hood, Texas, and I've got a couple of people I served with there, and I'm really pleased to share this room with them. I was the first brigade commander who was a woman at Fort Hood, and I was single, so I called them up and said, I'd like to get a statement of non-availability so I can come down and look for a house to rent. And I said, I'm coming down there to be a brigade commander, and I need one. Oh, if you're a brigade commander, the Corps commander's policy is that you must live in post housing with all the other colonels. And I said, oh, that's fine, good. And I said, so you just need to know that. Do I need this box again? You just need to know that. Isn't that nice? You just need to know that I'm single, S-I-N-G-L-E. Oh, well, you can't live on post. And we went back and forth. I said, may I speak with your boss? And it turned into a big thing that had 5 generals meeting in one room and whatever else. And fortunately, the general's aide was there and told me about this 10 years later. But they reluctantly decided that, okay, we'll let her live over there. But the guy who called me said, you do know that there is a family that won't be getting quarters because you're living there. So 9 months later, Jan Edmonds came. When Jan came, 2 months before she got there, they started painting her house, and 2 weeks before she got there, her name plate was out. So I have done 2 favors for Jan. She's shaking her head. I am in trouble. That's what you call an army buddy. In her mind, the first favor I did was the greatest. Without Jan Edmonds, tonight would not have happened. I can't tell you how much she has stepped up and really taken this over. Jan is one of the most fabulous organizers and detailed persons I have ever met. She drives me absolutely crazy, and she knew not to get me involved in anything. And so thank you so much, Jan. I'm going to shut up because you're really going to kill me now. So, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Major General Jan Edmonds, U.S. Army, retired.
Okay, I didn't know that. They ought to put a piece of something on your uniform, you know, once you reach a certain age, so you can put your glasses. Because I can't do anything without them. So I am Jan Edmonds. I'm on the board for the foundation. And I was asked to talk briefly tonight about 2 initiatives that the foundation has been implementing as part of our strategic plan. I'm going to add that to 3 because for the first time ever, we are live streaming. So the people walking by to go to the bathroom, you're on live stream. So for the first time, we are giving our constituents who cannot be here the opportunity to participate in our celebration. So I thank Jordan Bolin, our new social media person, for making that happen. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is our ambassador program. And the goal of the ambassador program is to improve our connectedness and our outreach to women veterans and women still in uniform. Our goal is to have at least one ambassador volunteer, it's not a paid position, it's one of these volunteer jobs, per state. Their job is to help spread the word about the memorial, to help us connect to military women, and get them to register in our living history database. This is similar to the previous field representative program, but a little bit more formal in every state. We want our ambassadors to come from a cross-section of the military services and from all ranks, so that they're reflective of the military women that we serve. Some states that are large or have a large veteran population may have more than one ambassador, and we have several instances of that. And why do we think this program is important? As Secretary Wilson said, there's more than 2.5 million living women veterans and women still serving in uniform in the United States, but less than 300,000 are registered in our living history database. Too many women don't self-identify as a veteran, and in talking to them about registration or registering, they often say, well, I didn't do anything important. I contend, we contend, that any woman who has volunteered to serve has done something immensely important. Only 1% of the American population will ever serve. So every story is important. Every story deserves to be told. But reaching our servicewomen and convincing them that their story matters is a personal conversation. We can't do it on Facebook. We can't do it on Twitter. We can't do it by letter. We have to have somebody who can go out there, who can talk to women and make sure they understand that they matter, they count, their story should be part of our history. As of today, we have ambassadors in every state except Missouri, North Dakota, New Mexico, Vermont, and Rhode Island. We're also looking for an ambassador in the District of Columbia and for Puerto Rico. The qualifications are that you must be registered at the memorial, you have to be passionate about recognizing the service of our military women. So if we have women here from those states where we're short, see me anytime this weekend, and we can chat. Some of our ambassadors were able to make the trip to this celebration. You can identify them by their gold name tag and their memorial pin that says ambassador underneath. Would the ambassadors that are with us tonight please stand? Thank you, ladies, for your hard work in helping us ensure that no story goes untold. And I will tell you, their work is hard. They have become very ingenious about getting to places where women veterans are. They spend their own riches trying to find materials to be at shows to make sure women veterans know that they matter to us and their story counts. I think we have an ambassador here who would like to do something that Eden Murray really likes, which is get money. Eden, would you like to accept the check?
Good evening. It's great to be here. I'm Pat Childers, and I'm the ambassador for the state of North Carolina. And on behalf of all of the ambassadors, I have brought with me a check. It's just a little bit of a down payment of our commitment to this organization and to getting our membership up and women registered. Thank you so much.
So thank you to our ambassadors for everything that they do. Money is always important, but I would tell you the most important job of an ambassador is to get women to register. We must get more women in our database. The second initiative to improve our connectedness is to make it possible for people from all over the country to experience the memorial, even if they can't make a trip to Washington, D.C. I hear from our ambassadors that they're regularly running into audiences, and even worse, military women, who didn't know there was a national memorial dedicated to them. Some who have heard of it think that the memorial is something for dead people. Some think it's only for people who served a full career. The challenge, of course, is how to change that, how to extend the impact of the memorial and its mission beyond the confines of granite and marble walls. How to ensure that when the public thinks of a veteran, they don't automatically conjure the image of a man. Or when they hear the word courage, they think also of a woman. One day I was in my car and I heard a radio ad, actually a story, on an organization called Honor Everywhere. And they had an initiative that was targeted at World War II veterans. Honor Everywhere created a video experience of the World War II Memorial that could be taken to veterans who could not come to DC in person. So think of somebody who could not make an honor flight. They're just not capable. I thought, what a great idea. But we don't want to just target people who are not physically able. There's lots of reasons why you can't make a trip to Washington, D.C. So I started doing a little internet sleuthing and found out that a company called Story Up actually produced that video, and they specialized in creating 360-degree virtual experiences or stories. I say experiences because it's more than a video. These 360-degree products let you actually experience the location as if you were there. You can look around in this video. I sent the company an email cold. I just looked them up on the internet. And I said, we are interested in knowing what it might take to get something like the World War II video done for our memorial. Lo and behold, I got an email back from Sarah Hill, the CEO and cool job title, Chief Storyteller of Story Up. And a video conference was arranged. Of course, they're high tech, so we're not going to do anything by phone. We're going to have a video call. So Dee McWilliams and I and Sarah got on a video call, and Sarah explained how they did their project, much of which was, at the time, over my head. But it was really sounded cool. The most important question, of course, we had to ask Sarah was, how much does it cost? You've already heard about our financial problems. So we needed to know what kind of a fundraising challenge we would have if we were to go down this path to try to get this video made for our constituents who will never come to Washington, D.C. Sarah looked at us because it was a video call. She could look at us. And with a stunned look on her face, she said, you should not have to pay for a video of your memorial. So she proceeded to help us get a grant from Veterans United Foundation, and then Story Up donated almost half the cost in kind support with their equipment and themselves. So wow, we didn't pay a dime for this video. That was in March of this year. We filmed this summer, and tomorrow we'll upload the video to YouTube and link it to our Facebook page and website as a gift to our constituents on our 20th anniversary. Sarah, please stand up so we can thank you. Come up here. Come up here. I want you to get a look at this amazing woman. She's been doing VR experiences out in the lobby. She'll be here tomorrow to show you what it really looks like in VR glasses, which is the way it was made to be seen, but it can be seen other ways. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you for your service, all of you.
So I'm really, really super excited to show you a demo of this product. I wasn't sure how we were going to do it because it is a 360-degree VR tour experience. I didn't want anybody to get seasick. But our great support from J Street Productions helped us figure out how we were going to do this tonight, and they came up with the idea of recording a demo of somebody experiencing the video on their computer, which you can do, and that's what you're going to see tonight. So it's not exactly what you would see if you were doing this yourself, but you'll get the idea. I hope it'll give you at least a flavor of the project and that you will want to see it and share it with all your friends and colleagues. A few of our storytellers are here who were in the video, and ladies, if you could stand so we can say thank you. Betty, yes. Remember, the memorial is all about our stories. It's about your stories, and this video is going to be about your story. As I said, we'll upload this tomorrow. To remind, this is a 360-degree VR experience. If you're prone to motion sickness, please sit down before you play with it. If you're viewing it on a computer, you can use your mouse or your cursor to look around in the video. You can literally look 360 degrees. If you're viewing it on a mobile device, as you move your device, you will look around as if you are actually in the video. You can look down, up, and all around. Sarah will be here tomorrow to show you, do more demos and help you understand what it would look like if you had VR glasses. But at this time, I'd like to go ahead and roll the video. That was a good start.
Been shot at. Accepting the challenge.
Courage is not just a man.
The time that I've been serving, I've gotten to know a lot more about what it takes to be courageous.
I saw the courage and bravery and the steadfastness of these women working sometimes under very difficult conditions.
Serving in Vietnam took courage.
We changed the minds of what people think when they hear the word courage.
And believe me, it took courage to build this memorial. This is the only major memorial edifice that pays tribute to women who serve in the military anywhere in the world.
Courage is not just a man. Courage is somebody who has the courage to raise their right hand and volunteer to serve. Hi, I'm Jan Edmonds. I'm Major General, United States Army retired. I'm here on top of the Women's Memorial today. 20 years almost to the month, we'll celebrate our 20th anniversary. As people come to visit the memorial, we change the minds of people on what a veteran looks like. We change the minds of what people think when they hear the word courage. We have to make sure we collect the best, most complete history we can so that the nation understands the contribution of the military women.
I'm Ethel Underwood, Colonel, USAF, retired in 1985 with 33 years of service. Women deserve all of this and more. For so many years, all the labor, all the work, all the things that were done by women were never acknowledged.
The memorial was the brainchild, so to speak, of some World War II women veterans who thought there should be a place that told their story as well. The heart of the memorial is the register, where we ask women who've served to take their rightful place in history and register their service here at the Women's Memorial. And it's here for generations to come, so that when my grandchildren come or my children come here to the Women's Memorial, they can call me up, so to speak.
It's a place to record a history for someone like me who's never going to write a book or have a book written about them, but I can ensure that my history of military service is here at the memorial. So it's a living memorial.
In addition, we have a terrace with an arc of glass tablets with quotations by and about military women. And as the sun passes over the memorial, those quotations reflect down on the memorial wall, a beautiful feature of this facility.
We've taken over a historic structure that we have now turned into a national monument and an education center. We have uniforms, artifacts, memorabilia, exhibits, films, oral histories, all to educate the public on what women have done in the past, what they're doing today, and hopefully here to show what they're doing as we move into the future.
So this memorial is a place where we can all come, women of all services, all ethnicities, all backgrounds, because it's almost like coming home. It's like coming home to the Women's Memorial, our memorial. When I walk through the halls, when I look at the exhibits, when I think about the journeys that we've all been through, and when I'm humbled to know that I have a very, very small piece of this, I know that we truly are Semper Fidelis, always faithful. Oorah!
I deployed to Iraq in 2006 with NMCB 40, and I'm a proud OIF veteran. And when people see me, they don't often think that I'm an OIF veteran, but it's important for us to show the American public that, you know, those of us who serve don't necessarily fit a certain mold, and we are changing the face of courage.
I certainly didn't get where I am by myself. If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? Or if you knew you could succeed, what would you want to succeed at? Those are the things that I find passion in and the things that are important to me. This memorial is very special because it honors all of the women who served before me and will continue to honor those women who come long after I'm no longer in the service. Today especially, I'm feeling very blessed to be here because today is my last official day on active duty, and to be able to be a part of this project is very special because it does really highlight why this memorial is so important.
As we approach the 20th anniversary of the Women in Military Service for America, I've renewed my commitment of support to support this with a 20th anniversary donation. And I've encouraged my colleagues in the corporate community and in the foundational world to do the same.
As I stand here in the memorial that we built, I'm very proud. It's been 20 years now, and it's good to know that it's lasted for 20 years, that it's had about 2 million people walk through it. It has had countless women who served come here and understand the history of women in the military, understand their history.
The Women's Memorial is really important to me because I feel that it's really the only place where we collect, tell, honor the stories of and the sacrifices of women who make the decision to serve. It's powerful, and it's a huge piece of our history as a country. I just think it's really important to get those stories out there and to let other young women out there know that that there are opportunities. There's a lot of different ways you can serve, but joining the military and having a career and being able to do all the other amazing things that they want to be able to accomplish, like it's possible.
And this is an attempt to acknowledge, at least from the military point of view, the contributions made by women. All women, young women, old women, black women, white women. And a great memorial to honor all the women that served, and rightfully so. We belong here.
Changing the face of courage.
Changing the face of courage.
Changing the face of courage.
Changing the face of
Changing
courage.
the face of courage.
We're changing the face of courage.
So I hope you got a little bit of an idea of what it's like. There's way more you can do with that than you can see in this demonstration. But again, thank you, Sarah, and thank you to Story Up for everything you did to help us get that far.
Now you see why she's my best friend. Shan finds stuff and does stuff, and she is simply amazing. Thank you, and thanks for all those who worked with her on that. Thank you, Jordan. It's time for the entertainment. We're going to close out with that tonight. No, you don't want any entertainment? Anybody who was at the 10th anniversary gala, you might remember a young specialist from the D.C. Army National Guard who sang that evening. The year before, in 2006, Specialist Vicki Golding had won the Military Idol competition singing Barbra Streisand's The Way We Were. We're really lucky tonight to have Vicki Golding back with us this evening for a medley of songs. Vicki, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be here tonight. This first song is written by a guy in dedication to his grandfather who fought in World War I. Somewhere a trumpet sounds in the night, a soldier is standing there. It's calling him out to the stars and the stripes. It's calling him God knows where. He kisses the ones he loves goodbye and leaves in the dead of night. For freedom he'll heed the call, leave all he knows, and for freedom he'll stand and fight. Oh. And somewhere a man and a wife can't believe they're waving their girl goodbye. For gone are the days of pigtails and curls and candlelit lullabies. If they had their way, she'd stay young forever, never be far from home. For freedom has drawn her heart to danger shore, and for freedom they'll let her go. And somewhere a thunderous crash in the night, it echoes all through the hills. Though many escape his wrath and his rage, a soldier lies wounded still. Remembering the land he loves, he cries, I love you with all my might. For freedom said I'm her son, whatever comes. And for freedom I'll say goodbye. Somewhere beneath the stars and the sky, a flag is still standing there. She's bled and she's brought one land under God. Her colors still lead us there. She's carried the lives of those before us. She's buried the bold and brave. For freedom she holds our hopes and heads up high. And for freedom she'll ever wait.
Thank you. Thank you. It really is such an honor and a blessing to be here this evening. And the next song I'm going to sing it's actually a different version of Help by the Beatles, because I think it's important to let people know it's okay to ask for help. When I was younger, so much younger than today, self-assured. Now I find I've changed my mind. I've opened up the doors. Help me if you can, I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me? And now my life has changed in oh so many ways. My independence seems to vanish in the haze. And every now and then I feel so insecure. I just know that I need you like I've never done before. Help me if you can, I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around. Oh, help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me? Yeah. Oh, won't you help me? Help me. You know I can't do this. I can't do this by myself. When I was younger, so much younger than today, I never needed anybody's help in any way. But now those days are gone. I'm not so self-assured. Now I find that I've changed my mind. I've opened up the doors. Help me if you can. I'm feeling down. And I do appreciate you being around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me? Oh, won't you please, please help me? Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, just one more song for you this evening, and I thought I'd just finish with a classic. I'm sure you all know and love this song. God Bless the USA. If tomorrow all the things were gone I'd worked hard for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children as a wife, I thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, from New York to LA. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the ones who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Wow. I don't know what year that song came out, but the first year I heard it was 1987 or 8. At 4 o'clock in the morning, General Norm Schwarzkopf had the First Corps of the United States Army standing out on the parade field to celebrate something like Law Day or Freedom Day or something like that. I just knew it was real early, and all of a sudden, that recording came blaring across the parade field. There was not a dry eye, I don't think, on that parade field. And I'm sure many of you have experienced something similar to that. So thank you. And your second song really speaks to some of the things that our women have faced through the years. And we all need a little bit of help. So thank you very much. I have one more person I want to acknowledge. A poet and a veteran, believe it or not. We have a poet laureate. Misty, where are you? Okay, Misty Saul. She's standing, but she's not a lot taller than I am. So you want this little box? She's a 3-time winner in creative writing in the annual National Veterans Creative Arts Festival. We're privileged to have her with us tonight. She's also on a 6-month fellowship from Mission Continues, working with us at the foundation. One of her poems is on the back of your program. Thank you, Misty, for your service, for what you've done for your country, for your time in the Air Force. More Air Force tonight. Wait till tomorrow. Oh, no, we have Air Force again tomorrow. Okay. Thank you for what you've done. So, thanks to our sponsors, we would not have been able to put this on. We have done this. When I first told my friends from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and my other friend, Jan Edmonds, who's pulled her little buddy out of trouble many, many times. This may be the last one. We can't use our staff. Well, we have done that, haven't we, Marilla? Donna. But we can't spend any operating money. We have to do this for free. The people who come have to pay, and we have had some generous donors. CACI, for one, their donation was for this event. And for them, we really thank them. They were our biggest donor. to, and they're listed in your program. The other one is a classmate of mine at the WAC Basic Officer Training at Fort McClellan in 1974, Louisa Jaffe, who could not be here, and her daughter is also in the Army. Louisa got out of the Army and got rich by owning her own company or something like that. But anyway, she gave us money, and that's good. A reminder, but anyway, thanks to our sponsors, but thanks to those of you. I don't know if you know this, but 73% of our operating funds come from you. Sometimes $5 at a time, sometimes a couple of $100 at a time. But that's what keeps us going. It's your memorial and you support it, so thank you very much. Now, reminders. Take your tag, your nameplate, if you have a star on it. And Ms. Teresa Souza, where are you? Yeah, I got your card. I don't know how. But anyway, you take my bag. I'll take your bag. Okay. Sue Souza used to be, she's a retired Marine. She was on the board for quite some time. So thanks, Sue. I thought that was you. We look forward to seeing most of you, we hope, at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Probably come a little bit early. For those of you who want to go on the Memorable Graves Tour, I think that's what we're calling it, Arlington has given us one trolley. It holds 105 people, so the first 105 people who are in front of the memorial to take that 2 o'clock kickoff will get to ride around. Don't think that you can walk it because the trolley goes kind of fast. But it'll be an interesting tour for history nerds. I love history nerds. I am one. So, the Arlington Cemetery Metro stop stays open until 11 tonight. Tomorrow night, they close at 10. We'll be wrapping up a little earlier tomorrow night because after our ceremony, we're going to come in and have a, well, I was going to say a birthday cake, but it's an anniversary cake. But we're still going to sing happy birthday. It's not on the program, but we're going to do it. And you're going to come back and help us, I think. Good night. Safe travels. Tomorrow, as they say in the Army, we'll meet you at the crossroads. And get your paper.